we started making videos for our YouTube channel, it was mainly so we could record our kids before they're up and gone and doing their own things in this life, and the other was to keep up with technology. We really didn't know how to use our smartphone very well, or our Canon camcorder, or our Canon camera that we have, digital camera. So we decided this is a great way to practice and record our kids at the same time. So it's been quite the process. I've been investigating on how to use my cameras, my phone, how to record. It's been such a long journey since we started, and I still have so much to learn, but thank goodness I started, because I feel like as we age, we lose our independence because we just don't know how to keep up with things, and especially in this day and age, it's about technology. If you're not keeping up with it, you're going to get lost and lose your freedoms that are out there for you. I remember Rick's grandmother, she passed away 12 years ago now, and she was 93. She was a very intelligent woman and knew a lot about everything. But something as simple as having food delivered to her house was something that she was not familiar with, not comfortable with. She just wouldn't do it. She would go out once a week to eat with family, and the rest of the week she'd make something at home. But I know that she would have enjoyed having something delivered, so, just something a little different, if she were able to do it. But when you get older, not only do you lose a little bit of your hearing and your vision and just your senses in general, but she was like sharp. She was, with it. That being said, just the thought of it for her was a stressful idea because it was unfamiliar to her. It seems simple to us, but for her it was difficult, and I think it's the same with today's technology, especially for those of us who didn't grow up with technology. We didn't grow up with computers or phones, cell phones, smartphones, especially the smartphones. I don't know how many videos I've watched on YouTube on how to use my phone, and I still don't know how to use it all, but at least I can make these videos using my phone. So I'm like, okay, I got that under control. But just as soon as I'm learning something new comes up. Like the social media. I've been on it for a couple of years or so. I'm still getting the grasp of how it all works. Just when I'm figuring out how it works, they start changing it up a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I gotta keep up again. And so I go to YouTube and I'm watching all these videos on how to use like Instagram. Now they added something like Snapchat, and I signed up for Snapchat, but I just could not figure it out. It was like Chinese to me, a different language. I just didn't get it. And now they added this feature onto Instagram, and I'm like, I just, I get the idea of it, but trying to do it, I'm like, I don't see where it would fit into my life, so I don't use it. But I'm afraid if I don't learn it, that might lead to something else, the next step up. But things are always changing and building upon each other, so it's important that we learn this technology and the social media and the apps that are out there, because the next thing will be built upon this, and it builds like this. So if you're out of touch with what's happening with technology or the apps or the social media, and you try to get in 10 years later, it's going to be much more difficult. So I'm trying to stay in the groove and trying to keep up with it, even if I don't use it all. Just want to make sure I have my ear, on what's going on. Just practice a little bit of how it all works. We're on Instagram, as you know. Make sure you follow us. It's at livingfree207. Same with Twitter, at livingfree207. Periscope, same, livingfree207. I like for Periscope, I haven't used it yet because you go live, and I just don't feel comfortable yet, because like these videos here, I have to edit, because sometimes I'm staring out in this space for 5 minutes thinking what I wanted to say, or I'm tripping over my words, or a lot of long pauses. Like this video could be like an hour long if I didn't cut out, maybe not an hour long, but a long time, longer than you'd want to sit and watch. So I'm trying to keep up with this, especially the social media, because people are communicating differently. Like my nieces and nephews, like emails seems to be out. Like that's not the way they like to communicate. And phone calls definitely are out. And actually, I don't even like phone calls, because these phones, I got lizards running around. So So if I'm looking around, it's because these lizards are like popping out of everywhere. So I don't even like phones because it feels like it's burning my ear. And I keep it out here, the phones, out in front of me, away from my head. And I still feel, if I'm talking too long on speaker, it still feels, I feel like it's burning my ear. I don't know what that is. Maybe I'm the only one, I'm not sure. So I don't like using the phone for very long. Not only that, it's kind of hard to hear it. It gets stressful because it's like, or if there's a TV in somebody's background, I can't hear them or they can't hear me, and it just gets a little aggravating. It's not a relaxing phone call. The thing I've been using lately is the Facebook Instant Messenger. I really like that because it's easy for me to use my keyboard. I hate texting because my hands cramp up when I'm trying to text. Oh, and then that autocorrect. You would think there's a way to I thought I had it set up where that feature is not enabled, but it keeps autocorrecting and typing things I don't even want. Or sometimes I'm talking, it starts recording and typing things I'm saying, and then it sends it to somebody. Now that's just creepy. I have to figure out how to put a stop to that on my phone. I'm pretty sure I have all the settings done, but it's still doing it. So either something wrong with my phone, most likely there's something wrong with me and me not knowing what I'm doing. Yeah, so I'm just wondering, what will the future hold as far as technology? What will I have to learn? I remember when the microwave came out. Well, when we got a microwave, I was like a teenager, and how it was a technology. I remember getting a dryer because I used to have to hang all the clothes, and with 6 brothers, that's a lot of clothes to hang by hand, and in the winter I would hang it in the basement, so that was just a pain. So getting a dryer was like, oh my god, this is like best technology ever. I didn't even have a blow dryer. I know they existed, but I didn't have one, so I had to let my hair air dry, which is probably better for you anyhow. But having a blow dryer was like a big thing for me. I thought, oh, this is great. Or when I moved out on my own at 18 and there was a dishwasher. Oh, dishwashers. I don't even have one now. Poor Noah's a dishwasher. Yeah, when I moved out, I thought it was the best thing ever because I had to wash dishes growing up, and that was not fun. It was big pots and pans and all those plates and forks and everything else. So those were the small inventions along the way. Well, again, they weren't invented. They were probably invented much earlier than I ever got around to using them. Same with the technology now. There's a lot of technology out there now that I probably won't be using for a few years until it becomes, affordable for everyone to use. I'm hoping these smartphones and the phone plans become more affordable because it gets expensive when you have more than, a phone or two. You have your family plan, but it's still costly. And I see more and more people, like I look on my analytics on my YouTube channel, and I see more and more people are watching my YouTube channels from their phones or those iPads. I don't have one of those. I almost feel like that's going to be an old thing and something new. I don't know what that new thing is going to be. I know they had those Google glasses, but then they stopped because of privacy issues. So I'm not sure where that will go with the recording and the phones and the communications. How will people communicate? Like I said, my nieces and nephews, they don't use email, they don't use phones. I find that on Facebook, it's sometimes easier to share, and I was like totally against using social media, Facebook, even putting up YouTube videos. I mean, I feel like I've just kind of given up, and here I am for the whole world to see. I mean, I didn't want my face or picture or anything on the internet because I just thought it was creepy. But I feel like you almost can't function in society unless you know how to use a computer, you know how to use a smartphone, and many other things, and social media, because everybody's communicating. Like, for example, Facebook, that's like the big place, and I do like the instant message area there because I can type when I have time or in between the conversation, because I don't have time just to sit there and have a conversation usually with someone. Or if I am, I'm also doing something else online, working online while I'm having a conversation, and they're doing the same. They're doing something and then they write something and it goes back and forth. It's kind of nice in a way where you want to let everyone know about something, nothing too personal, but this way you don't have to call 20 people and say, hey, you know, I'm going to college this year, or whatever it is. You just put it up on Facebook and everybody knows what you're up to. Of course, there's private things that you don't want everybody to know, so you might just instant message that person. Yeah, so that's the way people seem to be communicating now. Am I missing out on something? Is there another way people are communicating? I know people use Skype, but I've tried downloading that on my computer, and then it messes my computer up. Again, it's probably me not knowing how to use it. And I know there's something called FaceTime, but you know, I really don't even like that idea. I mean, sure, if I know I'm going to call someone I actually want to see, but I don't want to be talking to everybody. Maybe I'm in my pajamas or just getting out of bed and I look like death, and I don't want people to see me at that time of day, or I've got a mask on or something like that. I don't want to answer my phone that way. It kind of reminded me of that movie Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the 1980s movie, and Sharon Stone. And I remember that one part where she answers the phone and then you could see each other. I was like, oh my God, this is so futuristic. And it's basically Skype and FaceTime. What do you think is the next step for communications after Facebook and Skype? You know, I wonder if there's going to be like 3D. I know there's going to be 3D. You've seen maybe on science channels them talking about like watching movies in 3D or being immersed in the movie, like you're part of the movie. Then I'm talking about entertainment there, but as far as communicating, I don't know. It's like sometimes you don't even know that something can exist until you see it, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's something I didn't even think about. So I love sci-fi and I like futuristic ideas and plans. Sometimes they're a little scary, but other times they seem like they would be so helpful. Like that movie I, Robot. I've talked about that before. It'd be so cool to have a robot to help you around the house, or people who are disabled. Boy, they could really use some help. Or elderly, so they don't have to go to a nursing home. They would have somebody at home with them. But at the same time, you're like who's watching through these eyes? Because you've heard stories about how those baby monitors can be hacked, or those house camera, it could be hacked. Anything could be hacked these days. So that's something, the pros and cons of technology. I just wanted to bring it up today because I was telling Rick, I said we have to keep up with it or we're just gonna like not be able to do anything or function. I talked to my sister. Make sure you visit her channel, gypsyroland.com. Her YouTube channel is very interesting. She's the oldest of the 8. And I was talking to her about it, and some things, like I'll tell her to shop on Amazon, and she's not shopped on Amazon yet. And that's something that everybody needs to learn how to do, because eventually you may not have stores 10 years from now, but it's really a good idea to know how to shop online. Or if you live in the cold or there's snow and you don't want to drive, you just want things shipped to your house, or you got a bad back or just getting older and you don't want to go shopping and carrying things and driving and dealing with all that, you just have it shipped right to your front door. It's something you should at least know how to do, and if you don't want to do it, don't do it, but learn how to shop online. It comes in handy. There's a lot of things that I still have to learn. So that's where I am on this technology and aging. It seems like the technology is going way too fast for me. The only thing I could do is spend hours upon hours watching how-to videos on YouTube. And boy, does that help out. And I love when there's videos where it's like baby steps. A, B, C. Teach me from like press www. Enter. I mean, I want like baby steps, because a lot of times these tutorials on how to do things skip like the whole first part on how to get to a certain place, and then I'm like, I'm lost already, so I can't even watch the rest of the video. Or they're going along real nicely and then they skip a section because they assume that you know how to do something. We can't assume that somebody like me would know how to do something, so it gets a little frustrating. There's a lot of videos out there, but very few will give me all the baby steps that I need. Yeah, this technology is something Rick and I are working on and just trying to keep up with. But the bad thing is, to keep up with it, sometimes you got to keep buying the new phones or the new now the cameras. You know, they've got the technology, and the cars, refrigerators. You know how they have computers on them. I don't like that, especially in cars and in refrigerators. I like it and I don't like it. A lot of things come in handy, like the cameras in the car shows you how far something is behind you, or if a little kid or dog is right behind you, you could see that. But at the same time, you can only keep your car so long before it's outdated. You would hope that the car people would come up with a way where you could update some of these things in your car without having to buy a brand new car. Unless that's the plan, that you have to buy a brand new car. Same with the refrigerator. We had problems with our refrigerator, and I told Rick, next time we get a refrigerator, I just want something, and you barely find one. There's like one at Lowe's we saw. I want one with nothing on it. No water dispenser, no ice maker, but I think they all have ice makers now. It's like you don't even have a choice. And even college, more and more of the programs that the colleges have are going online. Like UF, for example, University of Florida in Gainesville, they have quite a few online programs, and other colleges are catching up and putting more and more programs. For a long time they've had online classes, but not the full program where you could literally get a full degree online. I mean, that's really helpful, especially for people that are older or with kids, or just they're not 20 years old and they're working full time and want to get a college degree, but they can't go to a campus because they're grown and they've got responsibilities. But they can now get a full degree online, like all of it, everything. So that's very helpful, and I see more and more of that happening. I talked about homeschooling yesterday, and I could see where schools may not want to have buildings where kids would stay home and go through the government, but all online. We know we homeschooled our kids, but it wasn't through the government, but I could see the government doing that where you school your kids at home, especially if more and more people are working at home with jobs. There's less overhead for schools. There'd be less overhead. Teachers, one teacher could probably teach a lot more students. Same with jobs. They wouldn't need office buildings and offices. You work from home. You don't need to get in your car and drive, worry about what you're wearing unless you're doing conference calls. There's a lot of things that we're going to see in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Oh my God, 20 years. I don't even want to guess what's going to be happening there. I'll leave it at that for now. Tell me what you think about the future and technology. Do you have problems learning or trying to keep up with it? What do you do to keep up with it? Thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you like. Please share, and we'll see you next time.